Welcome to Stonewall County, Texas, and I'm on a dirt road, back road, because this is the county line right here in Stonewall. You might be able to hear just across the way, it's a very busy road, and I went over there and filmed. I was going to try to do an intro over there, but a lot of cars. So even though this is going to be a area with sparse population, it's a busy road coming through here, so obviously still important to a lot of people. But Stonewall, if you're wondering, that's an interesting name, Stonewall, where that came from. You might know the name Stonewall Jackson. He was a, Confederate, one of the leaders of the Confederate Army, and that's what this county was named after. And it was organized in 1876. Before that time, there was kind of a territory. There was the Young and the Bear district or territory of Texas. And then 54 different counties were made out of that, and this was one of them. And at that time, there was only about 100 people that lived here. So, in fact, their judicial and governmental branches were part of Young County. That was named Young County, and then a few years later, it actually switched over to another county for a couple years. And then there were, by the late 1880s, there were about 1,000 people here. And they petitioned the state of Texas, or the county they were part of, to become, their own kind of, branch of, with their own governmental services and everything like that. And that's what happened. The county over through the years grew to about 5,500 at a maximum, and has started to go down quite a bit, all the way down to the 1,200 range. And it's, Texas has 254 counties, and so there's a lot of small populated counties, and it's about ranked 12th right now. So as it's going down, might move up the list of smallest counties. But there's a lot of history here. We're going to go explore it and tell you more about it throughout the day. We're starting out here on the eastern side of the county, and I'm in the Hooker Cemetery. And when it was being formed here, when there weren't very many people, like I was saying earlier, in this county, or in this area where the county eventually became. And about 10 families moved in this vicinity and started a little settlement called Hooker. Nothing left of it. I don't even know if it's here or if it's right here, but this is where the cemetery was. Kind of the beginnings of the county, at least on the eastern side of it, were here in Hooker. And today there's a cemetery. It's got some very interesting things to check out, and but also some more recent than the 1880s. Hey, good to see you too. What better way to really get our day started in the first town than in a place called Old Glory, Texas. And behind me, pretty massive mural on the side of one of the few remaining old buildings in the town. This is a very interesting history here. In late 1880s or so, when things were starting to actually get going and organized in the county, there were a bunch of Germans moved here from southeast Texas. And it was a couple miles from here, and there was a store and a school, and that was about it. And then they moved to this site, and it was they called it New Brandenburg. They called the old site Old Brandenburg, and this place New Brandenburg. And then it started growing. And the old Brandenburg eventually kind of faded away to nothing. And then World War I came around, and obviously there was a lot of anti-German sentiment in the United States and in Texas here. And so they wanted, the people who moved here wanted to show their patriotism for the new adopted country. So they, we're going to go all the way. We're going to name it Old Glory. And that's what they did. And so the town grew, and several hundred people lived here. Then Depression, it went down, and then there was a little bit of an oil boom here. It went back up in the 50s and 60s, and then went back down again now. And there's still people that live here. There's some great old buildings. There's an old post office with a new post office. So a community this small still has a post office here. So very cool place to to stop and check out in Stonewall County. Early in the video, I was up at Hooker Cemetery, and I was talking about, the early settlement and early settlements of the area, and the population was real small. Well, this is the Rayner Cemetery, and this one's fascinating. I've been doing a little bit of driving around to try to find remnants of Rayner, and it's super interesting. The town was the original county seat. They were, early days, this is in the 1880s, trying to get the county seat was super important, and Rayner was the first county seat. And some people contested it, thought it was fraudulent, and but it was the county seat for a few years, and the county seat reign ended in the 1890s after what's now the county seat, Aspermont, and took over and won a close election in the 1890s. Took 2 elections for Aspermont to win, but they finally did, and everyone pretty much left here and moved their businesses because there was a town. This is the cemetery for the town. It's kind of wide open with headstones just here and there, and everything's from the 1890s when the town would have had its short existence. There's 4 little infant graves, 4 or 5 of them in a row, but any of the headstones that you can see that have dates are all from that 1890 range, and really, really fascinating. But that's not the only thing. So I had seen that there was an old county courthouse, but it maybe was on private property. So I went down the road to where it showed it on the map, and you can kind of see it down a driveway, but on private property. So I go down the road around the side, find a path, meet some new friends grazing on the road, and sure enough, I come right upon the old courthouse. Amazing. It's, privately owned at this point. I don't know if anybody lives in it, but somebody owns it, and there's some, stuff there. But really interesting to see the old courthouse from the 1890s that really had a short lifespan, and the town was abandoned pretty quickly thereafter. So kind of hard to find. Rayner is almost hidden. Even the cemetery that's down a dirt path, it's kind of hard to find. But yeah, really awesome. Our next stop is Rath City, and I'm in the car because there's construction in this area where Rath City was. There was a picnic stop that I think maybe had a little bit of story about Rath City, but it's closed right now, so unfortunately not able to. I can show you some drone footage about where the town was. It was only around from 1875 to about 1880. It was a town that was founded to capitalize on the flourishing buffalo, buffalo hunting trade. And it was actually when Stonewall County became a county, it was the first settlement in the county officially. So definitely a pretty historical place. It had this short history, but did have a fairly significant thing. It would become a rallying point for kind of frontiersmen who were fighting against the Native Americans. And there was a settler here that one of the buffalo hunters was killed by a Native American. Hundreds of people rallied here and then headed towards Lubbock, where they battled the Native American Black Horse and other Native Americans. And apparently the battle didn't really, neither side won. And so, that was one of the last kind of Native American battles in this part of Texas, or even in Texas, period. And then the declining buffalo population basically ended the settlement around 1880. So pretty historical place, being the first settlement in the county. And but yeah, kind of a checkered history. Our next town is the county seat of Aspermont. I already did a video about this, Small Town USA video. So right here, if you want to learn about this town, I'll put a link in the description and you can watch that, or maybe at the end of the video you can come back and check out what the county seat looks like if you haven't already done so. Welcome to Stonewall County, and right. Welcome to Stonewall County. Right down there is entering Stonewall County. There's too many cars. I can't ever get anything done.